This is now the last lecture before booking the exam. In this quick lecture, I just want to quickly summarize what is important to know before the exam and during the exam, as well as we'll also quickly have a look at the process of booking the exam. So here are my final tips. The first one is take the practice test and also be aware that if you have some weaknesses, go back to those lectures again and work on your weaknesses. Don't take this exam like a stroll in the park, but really take it seriously and prepare well for this exam. And then additionally, also work on the sample questions that are provided by Microsoft. In just a few seconds, we'll have a look where you can find those sample questions. Those questions not only help you to understand your knowledge, but also to understand the format of the questions so you are familiar with them then during the exam. About the exam itself, the exam takes around 65 minutes. This is the seat time, but in total only for the questions themselves there are 45 minutes. This means you have about 20 minutes to prepare and set everything up. And we'll also quickly, of course, have a look at how you can exactly book and check in to the exam. Then in the exam, there are 40 to 60 questions of different types, and as mentioned in the sample questions, which we'll also soon have a quick look at, you will see the different formats that are available and important. Then you need a passing score of 700 out of 1000, and you can also, of course, repeat the exam as we have already mentioned in the beginning of the course. The results will be displayed immediately after the exam, and you will also receive, of course, an email, and in this email you can then also claim your badge, which you can then also post on LinkedIn. We'll also, of course, quickly have a look at how this works. And also be aware that when you need to cancel or reschedule the exam, to do this 24 hours before the actual exam takes place. So here are now my final recommendations when you are in the exam. So of course the number one recommendation is to work on your weaknesses and be well prepared. This is the best way to ensure that you will succeed in this exam, to have a good preparation. And the preparation is even extended to your workspace. So if you have a table that you take the exam on, make sure this table is clean, make sure there are no distractions, no noises, and you need to be also alone in this room without any distractions. For the exam itself, read the questions carefully. Sometimes there are some keywords that help you with the right answer. And even if you don't know the answer, then you can still be sometimes sure about some answers that are for sure wrong. You can eliminate those. And then if you have two answers maybe left, you can still guess. And this will then still leave you with 50% of the right chance, which is actually quite high just for questions that you didn't know the answer to. And if you want to remember some of the questions for later, you can also mark them and then review them later on again in the exam. And now let's have a look at how you can book the exam and find also additional important details that you need to know. If you just search in Google AZ-900 exam, the first result that is not an ad will be the exam overview page. And in here you can find all of the relevant information and you can also schedule the exam. So in here what you can find is the study guide. This is just giving you an overview of the skills that you need to know. You'll also find the information like that the score of 700 is required to pass. You will also have a sandbox. This is just giving you an experience of the exam environment. So for example, you can just click on here and then you will have just the interface, how the exam looks like, just so that you are familiar also with the exam environment. And then of course also you have all of the contents, so everything that will be required in the exam. And then, as mentioned, you also have those free sample questions. They help you to understand your knowledge, but also to understand the format of those questions. So this is very good to be prepared for these different types of questions. So in here I definitely recommend to go through all of those questions. You have the different types like multiple choice, sentence completion, matching, and so on and so forth. So this is a very good way to familiarize yourself with the format of the exam. And then, as mentioned also in here again, you find the exam sandbox, where you just have a quick exam simulation, so you are familiar with how the exam environment looks like. And then you are ready to schedule the exam. The price of the exam is depending on where you are living. So just select your region. For example, I'm from Germany. There the price will be 99 euros. For example, if you are living in India, you will see this is the price. And then afterwards, you can just schedule the exam. So this is not a very complicated process. You can just click on this, fill out your certification profile, and then once you have gone through this registration process, you will also find this confirmation email where you again find all of the relevant information. So you can test your system, you need to make sure you have a valid ID and prepare your exam place. So here you find additional guidelines about how your place needs to be prepared. So for example, there cannot be any other person in the room. You need to have a quiet place. And then also you can test your system in here by following this link so that you can make sure that your system is fulfilling all of the requirements needed for the exam. And then you can enter and check into the exam just by following this link, and the check-in is possible 30 minutes before the appointment. And then you have everything you need. Therefore, I have nothing more to say other than make sure you're well prepared, which I'm sure you are. Be confident in the exam, and then I wish you good luck and all the best success for the exam.